Welcome to the Urantia book. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge is meaningless. Wisdom is the adaptation and application of that which you do know. So we're doing a reading today from the Urantia book about the personality of the Universal Father. We've been talking about personality for quite a bit. And we're adapting this and applying it. If it was just for the sake of the debate, well, is God just a all-pervasive force, or is there a personality there, on like an East versus West type of idea? It could just be a dead theology, whichever one chooses. But if you can apply this, for instance, have you ever needed a friend before? Somebody to call on because you had a bad day and you wanted to ventilate. Well, how would you do that to a non-personality? Same thing with love. If something is just pure love or pure force, then how are you relating to it? It's almost like it is a field of physics. It needs a personality behind it in order then to use that love as a relationary technique between individuals. So let's get started with the personality of the Universal Father, see what the Urantia book has to say about it. Please like and subscribe. We're doing really well. We're growing fast, so I appreciate everybody out there who's getting involved and commenting. So let's keep the ball rolling here. Very appreciative. The personality of the Universal Father. Do not permit the magnitude of God, his infinity, either to obscure or eclipse his personality. He who planned the ear, shall he not hear? He who formed the eye, shall he not see? In another part of the book, they say, how could you have fruit without the tree? As in, you have a personality experience. Then how could you have that if there wasn't a parent personality? Remember, we're not getting caught up in word symbols. I know people have problems with these terms, father, masculine. It doesn't matter. You can call it whatever will. It's a parent personality. That's the important thing. Something that knows way more than you. So when you're in your time of dire need, you can say, hey, what should I do here? And you'll get that. The Universal Father is the acme of divine personality. He is the origin and destiny. See, origin. And destiny of personality throughout all creation. We have potential to journey back there, all based on our choosing. God is both infinite and personal. He is an infinite personality. The Father is truly a personality, notwithstanding that the infinity of his person places him forever beyond the full comprehension of the material and finite beings. So don't think of it as a wizard in the sky that you're downplaying it and thinking that there's just a man in the sky with a gray beard. It's beyond comprehension how this personality is existing. God is much more than a personality as personality is understood by the human mind. He is even far more than any possible concept of a superpersonality, but it is utterly futile to discuss such incomprehensible concepts of divine personality with the minds of material creatures whose maximum concept of the reality of being consists in the idea and ideal of personality. So, like I was saying, it would just be meaningless. It's not even possible. The material creature's highest possible concept of the universal creator is embraced within the spiritual ideals of the exalted idea of divine personality. Therefore, although you may know that God must be much more than the human conception of personality, you equally well know that the Universal Father cannot possibly be anything less than an eternal, infinite, true, good, and beautiful personality. So people that do know God, they don't know the fullness of it, but we know that it has to be all of these things in order for it to be life-changing. Something that we've personally experienced, that we've applied to our lives, and then we've had this experience of life-changing. Well, geez, he must be beneficent. God is not hiding from any of his creatures. He is unapproachable to so many orders of beings only because he, quote, dwells in a light which no material creature can approach, end quote. The immensity and grandeur of the divine personality is beyond the grasp of the unperfected mind of evolutionary mortals. We have to attain that. It takes a while. It's like a degree, a higher degree. You're not going to go right to higher physics. You're going to have to learn simple mathematics and everything first. He measures the waters in the hollow of his hand, measures a universe with the span of his hand. It is he who sits on the circle of the earth, who stretches out the heavens as a curtain and spreads them out as a universe to dwell in. That must be a quote from the Bible or something. I'm not sure. Lift up your eyes on high and behold who has created all these things, who brings out their worlds by number and calls them out by name. So implying there's many worlds there in that. So if you people think like, well, I'm God because, my religion teaches that everybody is God. Well, then you would know every single planet out there. You would know every star system. You would know everyone by their name. And so it is true that the invisible things, you have a fragment of God, but you're not the Godhead. See, that's the Godhead that knows that. And so it is true that the invisible things of God are partially understood by the things which are made. Today, and as you are, you must discern the invisible maker through his manifold and diverse creation, as well as through the revelation and ministration of his sons and their numerous subordinates. So we have all these other things available to us: guardian angel helpers, signs, symbols all around us, and revelation like this book. Even though material mortals cannot see the person of God, they should rejoice in the assurance that he is a person. By faith, accept the truth which portrays that the universal Father so loved the world as to provide for the eternal spiritual progression of its lowly inhabitants, that he, quote, delights in his children. God is lacking in none of those superhuman and divine attributes which constitute a perfect, eternal, loving, and infinite creator personality, right? So he's directly not responsible, but directly involved with your life here and now, this very transaction, and delighting that we are contemplating these things rather than going off onto our pure human or sordid ways of contemplating vices and all that. Like, we're prioritizing right now. We're upping our status in the universe and breaking more shackles this very minute. In the local creations, accepting the personnel of the super universes, God has no personal or residential manifestation aside from the paradise creator sons, who are the fathers of the inhabited worlds and the sovereigns of the local universe. If the faith of the creature were perfect, he would assuredly know that when he has seen the Creator Son, he has seen the universal Father. So that is our manifestation here out in these time-space universes, rather than the central and paradise universe. We have these sons of God, the order of Michael, as they're called in the book. Our Jesus of Nazareth was one of them. So that statement from the Bible, that concept that Jesus uttered, if you've seen the Son, then you've seen the Father, they're paralleling that. They're saying they're one. So it doesn't matter if there's 700,000 Jesus. Well, they're not Jesus. They're orders of Michael's, because there's 700,000 super universes. That in no way is taking away from the power and potency of our Creator Son, our Jesus of Nazareth / Michael of Nebadon. Because if you've seen that being, if you know that being, then you know God himself. It's not saying if you've seen that being, then you know 1/700th of God, because there's 700 of them. No, there's this way of making many one that's beyond comprehension for us. It's it's beyond logic. But once we attain it, we'll find that it is altogether logical. And seeking for the Father, he would not ask nor expect to see other than the Son. Mortal man simply cannot see God until he achieves completed spirit transformation and actually attains paradise. Okay? So somebody was talking about having a spiritual experience. You're having an experience with your fragment of divinity within you. Okay? You haven't attained the central Godhead yet during those profound spiritual experiences. But hey, they're good enough, I mean, if you ever have something like that, it'll more than satiate. We will be more than satiated at every step along our journey, folks. But if you knew everything there is to know today, then what would tomorrow hold? The natures of the Paradise Creator Sons do not encompass all the unqualified potentials of the universal absolutes, of the infinite nature of the first great source and center. But the universal Father is in every way divinely present in the Creator Sons. The Father and the sons are one. These paradise sons of the order of Michael are perfect personalities, even the pattern for all local universe personality, from that of the bright and morning star, another being, down to the lowest human creature of progressing animal evolution. Okay, so it's the pattern of perfection that's drawing near to us even in the what's it called, incarnation of the life of Jesus, which we can learn from, and also in the form of the Spirit of truth within us. Without God, and except for his great and central person, there would be no personality throughout all the vast universe of universes. God is personality. That's a great quote right there. God is personality. Notwithstanding that God is an eternal power, a majestic presence, a transcendent idea, and a glorious spirit, though he is all these and infinitely more, nonetheless he is truly and everlastingly a perfect creator personality, a person who can know and be known. That's what sticks out to me. A person that can know and be known. Because the other versions of God that from other various things, like it's just consciousness, right? Well, consciousness that can know and be known, it really clarifies that. Who can love and be loved? Can that consciousness love and be loved? Is it conscious of you? Is it in this way? There has to be two here. This is a duality, right? In order for these beings to love, it's not just one thing loving his whole self, and one who can befriend us, right? That implies that there's two. Okay, it's not one who can literally unite and become one with us. That's not the part of this journey. That's why we don't experience it. And while you can be known as other humans have known as the friend of God, he is a real spirit and spiritual reality. So now we're applying this. We have a friend, folks, always in every one of your hours. It doesn't matter if they're dark or bright. You always have that friend that you can call upon. And it's the most powerful friend that could possibly exist as well. As we see the universal Father revealed throughout his universe, as we discern him indwelling his myriads of creatures, as we behold him in the persons of his sovereign sons, as we continue to sense his divine presence here and there, near and afar, let us not doubt nor question his personality primacy. Notwithstanding all these far-flung distributions, he remains a true person and everlastingly maintains personal connection with the countless hosts of his creatures scattered throughout the universe of universes. All of them, they're all having this relationship to them. And they know that that's why it's so important. The idea of personality of the universal Father is an enlarged and truer concept of God which has come to the mankind chiefly through revelation. Reason, wisdom, and religious experience all infer and imply the personality of God. So we're taking all those into considerations, but they do not altogether validate it. When you read something like this and you see the caliber of mind here and you say, this is truly a revelation, that is something that validates. Even the indwelling thought adjuster is pre-personal. Okay? The truth and maturity of any religion is directly proportional to its concept of the infinite personality of God and to its grasp of the absolute unity of deity. The idea of a personal deity becomes then the measure of religious maturity after religion has first formulated the concept of unity of God. Okay? So then that is the growth phase right there. Remember, we're maturing in these concepts. Okay? Not stagnating. Let's see what we got here. Primitive religion had many personal gods, and they were fashioned in the image of man. Revelation affirms the validity of the personality concept of God, which is merely possible in the scientific postulate of a first cause, and is only provisionally suggested in the philosophic idea of universal unity. So science being about causes, okay, well, we had the Big Bang, but we don't know what caused the Big Bang, so then that's how we postulate, all right, there must have been a first cause. Okay, God provisionally suggested the philosophic idea of universal unity, okay? Like, it's all making sense, you know? Like, even from the perspective of metaphysics. There's unity here. Only by personality approach can any person begin to comprehend the unity of God. To deny the personality of the first source and center leaves one only the choice of two philosophic dilemmas: materialism or pantheism. Wow, that is deep. There's no other way around it. If you're spiritual, if it's not a personality God, right, then it's a materialism. It could be metaphysics. Metaphysics might still be, in the material realm. Once it becomes personal, then you could say that it's a spiritual. I mean, you could say anything you want, obviously, but yeah, I like that line. That's a good one. Or pantheism, many gods. In the contemplation of deity, the concept of personality must be divested of the idea of corporeal reality. Corporeal reality, I'm not sure exactly what that means. A material body is not indispensable to personality in either man or God. The corporality error is shown in both extremes of human philosophy. In materialism, since man loses his body at death, he ceases to exist as a personality. In pantheism, since God has no body, he is not therefore a person. The superhuman type of progressing personality functions in a union of mind and spirit. I see. Okay. Okay, I think that's what it's like, devoid of body, I believe, or something. Personality is not simply an attribute of God. It rather stands for the totality of the coordinated infinite nature and the unified divine will, which is exhibited in eternity, and universality of perfect expression. Personality, in the supreme sense, is the revelation of God to the universe of universes. Okay, so supreme, that's the time-space aspect of divinity. Okay, so that's how, God is saying there's these time-space creatures, so we need to reveal to them more so they can literally help them, help them advance. That's what this is all about. This is all about a loving journey for us to be uplifted and to experience the joy of life and to enjoy the wonderment. That's what this whole thing is a stir about, folks. Your personal enjoyment of journey. God, being eternal, universal, absolute, and infinite, does not grow in knowledge nor increase in wisdom. God does not acquire experience as finite man might conjecture or comprehend, but he does, within the realms of his own eternal personality, enjoy those continuous expansions of self-realization which are in certain ways comparable to and analogous with the acquirement of new experience by the finite creatures of the evolutionary world. Okay, so there's an aspect of God that is, what is the word? Within the realms of enjoy. Okay, so there's an aspect of enjoyment of expansion. Okay, it's a mutual relationship here. The absolute perfection of the infinite God would cause him to suffer the awful limitations of unqualified finality, of perfectness, were it not a fact that the Universal Father directly participates in the personality struggle of every imperfect soul in the wide universe who seeks. Okay, so without that participation right there, there's just, it's just that perfectness, right? It's almost as if then it could be more like a pantheism, right? Without us participating in this, there would just be a just perfection everywhere-ness. By divine aid to ascend to the spiritually perfect worlds on high. Okay, so we're heading back there. This progressive experience of every spirit being and every mortal creature throughout the universe of universes is part of the Father's expanding deity consciousness of the never-ending divine circle of ceaseless self-realization. It is literally true. In all your afflictions, he is afflicted. In all your triumphs, he triumphs in and with you. His personal divine spirit is a real part of you. The Isle of Paradise responds to all the physical metamorphosis of the universe of universe. The eternal Son includes all the spirit impulses of all creation. The conjoined actor, which is the third person in the Trinity, third God in the Trinity, encompasses all mind expression of the expanding cosmos. The Universal Father realizes in the fullness of the divine consciousness all the individual experience of the progressive struggles of the expanding minds and the ascending spirits of every entity, being, personality of the whole evolutionary creation of time and space. So they're all covered there: physical, mental, spiritual, and now the fourth, personal. Okay, those are the four discrete realms of experience. And all this is literally true. For in him we all live and move and have our being. Okay, that's all. It's just so replete there, folks. We got all our bases covered there. So keep that in mind. When you're afflicted, God is afflicted. So you don't want to add extra affliction onto yourself by making poor choices. I mean, you're working for two here. But at the same time, there's all that mercy extended and knowing and lovingness that is saying, well, we understand why you would make that choice, but let's move on with it. You know, let's get on to the good stuff, basically. It's not saying, nah, shame, go to hell for shame. It's saying, all right, well, there's so much better things out there. Why don't you get on with the good stuff? See, it's more that gentle type of loving encouragement. And then in the triumphs, we want to triumph together, you know, as a whole team, not just me and God, but also me and you and everybody else. We want to lift everybody else in all of the universes. Okay, folks, that was personality. Let's try to apply that. And thank you so much again, and we'll see you in the next time.